There's a rumor going around. If you like this video and subscribe, you will discover your bunkai. Hi guys, this is the next part of What If Broly Was Reincarnated in the World of Naruto. I hope you enjoy. Broly jumped towards Anko at a blinding speed, but Anko appeared to be ready with a grin and kicked towards the incoming boy. Broly grabbed her foot and attempted to throw her outside the restaurant, but Anko somehow got her foot free and jumped outside the Dango store on her own. Broly rushed towards her again, but this time threw a punch towards her face. Anko smiled once again before dodging the boy's punch and then grabbing his wrist and attempting to knock him to the ground, but Broly grabbed her wrist and flipped her in the air. Anko momentarily surprised but still not too caught off guard due to watching the boys and his friends facing against the creatures in the Forest of Death through the 3 years they have decided to train there. She moved with the throw and landed on her feet only to see a fist coming to her face. She dodged once again and elbowed the boy backwards, causing him to roar in pain and hold his nose. He quickly rushed towards Anko once again and kicked towards her leg. Anko moved to the side of Broly and elbowed him in the side, causing him temporary pain, and followed up with a backflip kick to the jaw, knocking Broly away and sliding away on his sandals. Broly, enraged, shouted, alerting and scaring the surrounding people. The civilians quickly moved out the way and started to hide and watch the battle. Jabi and Esumi still stood at the side watching their friend, ready to jump in at any moment. Broly slowly went through some hand seals, causing Anko to look excited in anticipation of what an academy student could possibly pull off that could defeat her. Broly finished the hand seals and 30 clones of Broly appeared on the street. Some on top of roofs, some on shops, and a majority around him. They all rushed towards Anko and Anko started weaving through some hand signs of her own. She yells, "Fire style! Dragon flame jutsu," and a wave of fire started heading towards the clones of Broly. Broly jumps in the air only to see the bottom of a foot crashing down towards his face. His eyes widen in surprise before taking the foot head on and start to crash towards the ground. He grabs Anko's foot before they separated too far apart and smashed her into the ground first and landed on her back with both of his feet, cracking the ground as they landed. But suddenly the Anko that Broly crushed burst into a bunch of purple snakes that quickly dispersed and exploded into a cloud of smoke. Broly quickly turned around to find his opponent until he was bit in 6 different places and kicked and restrained on the ground. 2 snakes bit his shoulders, locking them in place. 2 bit his arms and the last 2 bit his legs. Jabi and Esumi were about to charge in and help their friend until a green aura started to flow out of Broly, causing Anko to raise her eyebrows in suspicion and surprise about what this boy could be hiding or what could be causing that green aura to flow out of his body. Suddenly her snakes that were restraining the boy poofed away and her foot that was pushing down on the boy's back was rising. She tried to put more force into her leg, but the boy turned around and back-fisted her chest. Broly slowly rose up with yellow bioelectricity sparking and flashing around his entire body with his black hair standing up spiky like he was hit by a thunderbolt. The boy roared once again, but this time his shout caused the surroundings to whoosh as if moved by a large gust of wind. Some of the food stands started to lift up and were about to be blown away. Broly looked towards Anko and smiled a grin that said, "I'm going to enjoy crushing and smashing you into the dirt." Anko's face suddenly turned grim as she noticed all the damage they were causing. She just wanted to tease the boy a little bit and get him a little riled up before telling him and his friends some chakra control techniques. She sighed as she realized she's gonna get in so much trouble for this with the Hokage. She noticed the boy's strange new look and power he was radiating and decided to take this seriously, so she could prevent as much damage as possible. Anko started to weave through some hand signs as Broly rushed towards her in an incredibly speedy manner, unlike that a couple of minutes ago. She quickly finished the hand signs, causing 12 snakes to burst from both of her arms, and Broly was bit by 12 different snakes, each brimming with different non-lethal poisons. Jabi and Esumi noticed the pinch Broly was in and quickly rushed towards him. Broly's eyes were dimming as he reached his arm towards Anko's throat and suddenly dropped. His hair went back to its natural state along with the electricity that was circling around his body disappeared. "What did you do to Aomatsuna-kun?" Esumi asks with her blade drawn, staring at Broly with worry and Anko with hesitation and killing intent. Anko started to get a little more upset than she already was at her failed attempt of playing with the 3 brats. "Calm down, shorty. I just put him to sleep. You 2 can carry him or I can carry him with my snakes, but we're heading to the Hokage," Anko says. Jabi puts the unconscious Saiyan on his shoulder and continued to stare at Anko with a face that said, "If you try anything, know I will be ready for it." causing Anko to feel even more guilty. As the four were about to reach the tower, Anko suddenly clears her throat. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take it this far. Esumi's glare lessened slightly, but she still didn't say anything. I just wanted to tease the boy a bit. I didn't know he would react like that. I'm sorry. Anko apologizes again. It's not my place to accept your apology or not, but just know that you owe us. All three of us, Esumi states. Jabi looks towards her before also nodding. Anko is visibly more relieved about the two not being as upset as they were with her earlier. She has watched the three of them train in her training ground since they were 5 and kind of gotten attached to the 3 little orphan brats. She herself grew up as an orphan, and the whole situation with Orochimaru, her previous sensei and now traitor S rank missing ninja, caused her to not have many people she is close to. Esumi must have noticed how distraught the scantily dressed woman looked and decided to take it easy on her. She and Jabi didn't even know it would turn out like that. But it wouldn't do good if they forgave her so easily. What would Aomatsuna-kun think? He might even decide to increase their training regiment. She bets that he is already gonna put himself through hell tonight or tomorrow due to losing. Jabi pushed the thing with Aomatsuna-sama out of his head because he already knew how insane his natural recovery system is, so he wouldn't be out for long or face any permanent damage. He was more worried about meeting the Hokage face to face. The man known as the Professor, the god of shinobi, our Hokage. Do you know how many people actually get to meet face to face with one of their idols? Exclamation mark. Jabi doesn't know why Uzumaki-san and Aomatsuna-sama can meet him easily, but that's a question for another time. The four reached the Hokage's office and stood at attention, with the exception of Aomatsuna being carried by Jabi. What is wrong with Aomatsuna-kun? Have we been attacked by foreign shinobi? Hiruzen asks worriedly and alert. Anko slightly starts to sweat before calming herself and began to talk. No, Hokage-sama, the brat. I mean, boy and I had a slight disagreement, and this is sort of how it turned out. Anko said, slightly timid. The Hokage stared at her, making said woman squirm even more than she already wanted to. Alright, tell me what happened and we can decide on your punishment for knocking out an academy student as a special jonin over a disagreement. The Hokage said as he sighed but smiled that nothing too serious happened. Explaining what happened, so the boy decided to do what I told him, that's good. Although I wish he wouldn't be so eager to battle people stronger than he is, I know he can't help it. Hiruzen says. Why can't he help fighting people stronger than he is, Hokage-sama? Esumi decides to ask. I don't know if he would want me to share this information with you, but since you two have been such great friends with Aomatsuna-kun for so long, I'll let you know. Hiruzen says with a smile that caused the two academy students to become slightly excited at knowing more about their friend. I don't know if you two have noticed, but Aomatsuna-kun has a tail, doesn't he? They look at the Hokage like he is going senile. Haha, I know what you're thinking, but I haven't gone that far off the deep end yet. His tail is actually an important part of what I'm about to tell you. Aomatsuna-kun has a Kekkei Genkai. His Kekkei Genkai causes him to have a multitude of different abilities that we have been slowly accumulating and finding out as he grows up, since we never seen someone with his bloodline limit. Hiruzen explains, is that why his hair turned spiky and lightning started to spark off his body? Jabi asks. Hiruzen just looked at the boy before looking back at Anko with a serious look. Anko grinned sheepishly before starting to talk. The brat seemed to have changed sometime in the middle of our disagreement. One moment his hair was like how it is now, and when I was kicking his butt for a while, he got really angry and he got stronger. His chakra was strong enough to nearly uplift some of the food stands on the street and strong enough to overpower me and 6 of my snakes at the same time. It must be a part of his bloodline limit. Some users of the Sharingan also become stronger under pressure and a need for more power. Hiruzen says. Mr. Hokage-sama, can I ask a question? Jabi says a little bit timidly. Go ahead, boy. Hiruzen says, since the whole reason this started is because we wanted to learn chakra control exercises, can you make Anko-san just teach us some then? Jabi asks. Esumi slightly cheers for Jabi's quick thinking. I suppose so, but what do you think should be Aomatsuna-kun's punishment for clearly attacking a superior without valid reason? Hiruzen asks the round tubby boy before smiling. This caused Jabi to be caught off guard and slightly panic. He should try and control his temper more. Jabi says with uncertainty as he knows his friend's personality more so than almost anyone. You and I both know Aomatsuna-kun won't do that. I'll give you a second try before deciding myself. He should. Jabi was about to panic and say whatever came to his mind before Esumi spoke up. He should help out his fellow academy students who are struggling, and if he doesn't then you will prevent him from training. Esumi yelled. Hiruzen actually laughed at her answer. I know how much the boy loves training. You are one devious friend to actually put that as one of the options on the table. Okay, that is the boy's punishment. Anko, you are to teach the 3 chakra control exercises once you have verified that he has actually helped his fellow academy students who aren't these 2. Hiruzen smiles as he finishes his sentence. Esumi is slightly frightened at what Aomatsuna-kun might say to her if he knew she put his training time at risk. She looked towards Jabi to notice he had a devious smile, one quite similar to their master aimed right at her. She widened her mouth in surprise at his courage to possibly blackmail her over this. He just nodded and everyone left the Hokage office. Okay you brats. Meet me at the training ground at 5 p.m. sharp. If you're late I'm gonna make your training extremely painful. Anko says before disappearing. Esumi and Jabi start to walk towards their home with Broly over Jabi's shoulder. Jabi is just smiling while Esumi is pouting at letting Jabi of all people gain something over her mentally. Years later Iruka smiles as he walks into his classroom full of graduated students. Each one wearing a proud look on their faces, except for a few, and shining headbands somewhere on their body with a majority of them choosing to put it over their forehead. Our trio of demons haven't changed much in appearance except in height and physique. Broly is still the same height he was when he was a fresh academy student. Apparently his Saiyan genes haven't kicked in for puberty quite yet and gave him a growth spurt. Jabi is taller than Broly now and still is round if not bigger than he was 3 years ago. His body hasn't taken on any type of muscle at all, just keeping his previous smooth and round appearance with a kind natural smile radiating off of him. One that the previous him, 3 years ago probably wouldn't be able to show around people that aren't Esumi and Aomatsuna. It seems he has gotten rid of some of his shyness around people. But when Esumi noticed a civilian girl named Morimoto China staring at him from time to time in their last year of class, she decided to let him know that someone has a crush on him. Prompting an easily noticeable red face from our pudgy boy, and laughter erupting from Esumi. This laughter prompting a big head jutsu from Iruka to silence her and the surrounding students also wanting to laugh, but they learned in the 4 years of being with the tiny demon that you shouldn't laugh at her with her around and never insult her about her height. Esumi started tapping her foot against the desk in slight anticipation of finally leaving the boring-ass academy. Esumi, like Broly, also hasn't changed much except she started to fill out in more places than before due to the training from Broly and spars with Anko. She has a short blue punk-styled hair and an outfit somewhat similar to Anko, but much more subdued due to Jabi's constant whining. She also increased in height, being somewhat shorter than Jabi but still taller than Aomatsuna. She has started to carry around 2 blades ever since she was given the idea by Jabi. Why limit herself to only 1 sword when she can do more with even more? She is currently training with a 3rd blade that no one knows about except for the 2 boys, but she isn't proficient with 3 blades in battle enough to use it. Her first blade is called Kodama, the katana. This one was given by Jabi from their bet 3 years ago. The second one's name is Nikki, a Nodashi-type sword from a local blacksmith she made a deal with. The 3rd blade that she's secretly training with is called Uchinin. It's a uchigatana that is normally seen used by samurai. She plans to increase her kenjutsu with even more swords in the future, like how the Jinchuriki of the 8 Tails uses 7 blades in his fighting style, but going even further than him. The 3 demons have also increased their seals with the passing time of 3 years. Jabi is nearing Broly's seal level due to having a stronger and more robust body than her and is currently at level 7. Esumi is at level 6 while Broly is at level 9. Their physical capabilities at this point are vastly stronger than most of the Chunins in the village. Iruka finishes explaining what is expected of the new graduating class as the Jonins start to come in to collect their new genin. Iruka starts to read off the list of who's in what team and which Jonin is in charge of them. Team 7 will be consisted of Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruto Uzumaki. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. After announcing this, the 3 genin in question produced a variety of emotions. Naruto being both happy and upset, Sakura being overjoyed and slightly annoyed that Naruto is on her team also, and Sasuke just being annoyed twice as much. Iruka continued to call the names of each team until he reached Team 11. He looked at the 3 demons in the back of his classroom where they decided to stay for all 4 years with a slight twitch in his eyes. Aomatsuna Hakuseki, Yada Esumi, and Amai Jabi will be on Team 11 and your Jonin sensei will be Ko Hyuga. The team's reaction changed little from how it was with the exception of Esumi. Esumi smirked with a thuggish smile that doesn't seem to fit an 11-year-old girl. Jabi was slightly confused due to how his team's strength lies, and he believed they would get a long-range user to sort of balance the team out more. But apparently not. Their new sensei told them to meet him on the roof with a gentle smile. The trio walked slowly towards the roof of the academy and met him there. Ko just motioned for them to sit down, but none of them took it. He kept his previous smile on his face, but inwardly was quite nervous with being tasked with being the Jonin sensei of the trio of demons. He was given a large amount of information regarding these three, and none of it was good for a first-time Jonin sensei like himself. He still doesn't know why they didn't get a more experienced Jonin sensei for these three monstrous children. I hope the Hokage knows what he's doing. To start off, let's talk about names, our hobbies, likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future. I'll begin. I enjoy drinking tea, protecting my friends and family, and peaceful scenery. For my likes, well, let's just say it's the same as my hobbies. I dislike the current system of my clan that forces the seal upon branch members. I dislike people who abandon their friends for power, and my dream for the future is to protect the clan heiress Hinata Hyuga and watch as she becomes a respectable clan head. The three demons showed no emotion except for Broly, who showed a slight disdain towards the man who he considered a peace-loving parasite. Esumi and Jabi looked at each other before Jabi decided to go first. My name is Jabi. For my hobbies, I enjoy training, eating, reading, studying, and learning about new things. I like Esumi and Aomatsuna-sama. I like having strength to protect myself and being able to stand up to those against me and my friends. I dislike people who show no intent to better themselves and people who bully others with numbers. My dream is to become stronger and better than the current female Sannin of Konoha. Ko just nods his head while looking towards Esumi, hoping her list is less intense than the chubby boy. My name is Yada Esumi. I enjoy training with my friends, practicing my kenjutsu, standing above others, and playing with sharp objects. I dislike weaklings with no drive. I hate being talked down to due to my height, and I dislike bitter foods. My dream, no, my mission for the future is to kill Orochimaru, one of the three Sannin of Konoha. Ko inwardly started to sweat a bit more, while still plastering that gentle smile on his face like none of this has affected him. He mentally swears at the Hokage for putting him in this situation. He looks towards the last boy, the quietest of the three and the most volatile of them too from the report he received based on the three. Call me Aomatsuna. I enjoy crushing insects. I enjoy fighting. I hate worms who believe themselves to be bigger than what they will ever be. My future will be me crushing every bug under my foot and fighting till the day I die. Ko begins swearing up a storm at the Hokage in his mind while he wipes some sweat off his brow. Alright, I have to let you three know something. You haven't actually become Genin quite yet. There is a secret test provided by Jonin to their students to make sure they are actually Genin quality. If they aren't, we send them back to the academy, but if they become Genin's official and Konoha shinobi. What, how is that fair? What if some shitbag decides to fail me just because he doesn't like how I do things? Esumi yells. Ko is taken aback by the outburst and quickly composes himself. That's not how the test works. I can't give you any hints, but it's very rare for the sensei themselves to fail a team due to the sensei's whims. Ko explains in hopes they take it well. So teams have failed due to a sensei's desire. Jabi questions and focuses on the important part. The sensei could make a test harder or easier for a team depending on their personality. Ko says. Esumi and Jabi just stared at their sensei as if daring him to pull something over them. Broly was looking off into the distance as if this didn't concern him whatsoever. Well, alrighty then team, see ya tomorrow at training ground number 8 at 8 AM. Try to eat breakfast if you can. Goodbye, Ko says in a fast manner and quickly body flickers away. A couple hours after meeting their sensei and learning that they haven't truly become shinobi yet, the trio of demons went to a weapons shop that was willing to sell to them. Jabi bought some Senbon metal needles with points on both ends, smoke bombs, empty pellets to store his poisons in. Esumi bought kunai, shuriken, ninja wires, and more resistant open-toed sandals for defense. Broly only bought stronger shoulder pads and heavier sandals. The trio of demons then went to the library. Although they haven't really become Genin, with the headbands they have on them it can be said they were at the Genin rank for anyone lazy enough to not look deeper. Since they are Genin in name, the three can finally look up higher ranked jutsus and different subjects unavailable for academy students. Jabi was seen carrying a book that said, genjutsu basics, and some books on medical ninjutsu. Esumi was with Broly copying the scrolls he brought to her. As time passed by, it was starting to get dark outside by the time they were finished. The trio walked out with their scrolls and books, and each had a different type of gleam in their eyes. Jabi had an ecstatic look in his eyes about being able to train in medical ninjutsu and genjutsu. He decided to ask someone if he could work part-time in the hospital to train for his Iroh ninjutsu. Medical ninjutsu may be his new sensei. Hopefully he has contacts in the village that could be useful for him. Esumi had a tired but excited look in her eyes. She's been dreaming of the day she could use those cool jutsus she's seen the older shinobi pull off around the village. She started to daydream a little about pulling off cool flashy jutsus while flying around with her sword slicing her enemies into pieces. Broly had a maniacal gleam in his eyes. He'll be able to become much stronger now that he's able to use that large quantity of energy in his body called chakra in this world. It won't be long now until this entire planet is his for crushing. Once he has a mastery over this chakra energy just as much as he had over his ki in his past life, destroying the ants on this planet will be easy. Elsewhere, Ko is heavily stressed about what he is going to test his new stress-inducing genin about. He and basically anyone who has seen or heard about the three demons know without a doubt in their mind about their teamwork. The only reason why they wouldn't use teamwork is if Aomatsuna says not to, from what he has heard. If teamwork isn't an issue with them, why don't we have them test for other shinobi qualities? Like their ability to listen to superiors. Ko has heard about Aomatsuna's tendency to disregard or misinterpret his superiors' commands or suggestions. I guess I know what I should test them on after all. Ko smiled before turning off his night lamp and going to bed in preparation for tomorrow. The next day, the trio of demons arrived 3 hours before their sensei to get a head start on practicing their new techniques. The jutsus Esumi copied took her over 5 to 6 hours that included many jutsus from D rank to C rank. B rank jutsus weren't allowed to be seen by genins. She copied the few genjutsus for Jabi. It turns out that Konoha isn't very big on genjutsus, or no one likes them because there is only one meant to be used for combat while the others are meant for supplementary purposes such as trapping, delaying, and confusing. There were no medical ninjutsu available at the library. Only Chunin and higher would be able to access that due to the amount of knowledge and chakra control you would need to accumulate to use medical ninjutsu. There were 5 ninjutsus that Esumi and Broly could learn from the library. They would have to make do with this number until their sensei could teach them some jutsus, but they highly doubted a Hyuga would know many ninjutsus. The Hyuga clan is a taijutsu-focused clan that are led by a clan head and elders who take traditions very seriously and has never decided to branch out from their ways and stay as a taijutsu-orientated clan with their dojutsu, the Byakugan. When the trio read up information about this clan, they thought they were a bunch of wasteful idiots. Esumi thought that since they could do so much crap with their eyes, why not take advantage of it? Exclamation mark. If she was born in that clan, she would beat all the elders and the clan head up until their heads finally got out of their asses and changed the clan for the better. Jabi also agreed about the Hyuga clansmen wasting their potential by only focusing on taijutsu. Broly didn't care much either way. Worms with special eyes will see their deaths much better. Slowly time got closer and closer towards the meeting time their sensei said as they learned the new jutsus. Jabi has successfully learned 2 genjutsus. One is called Demonic Illusion, False Surroundings Technique, and the other is called Demonic Illusion, Death Mirage Jutsu. Only the latter was applicable in battle. The first genjutsu is for confusing or throwing off an enemy by tricking an enemy into thinking that the place they're in is different from the one that they are actually in. The second one is a genjutsu that shows your enemy their biggest fear. He wanted to test it out before battle, but Esumi explicitly said no due to already knowing what her biggest fear is. Broly smiled at Jabi as if giving him direct orders to try it out on him. Due to never facing a genjutsu user that actually managed to put him in a genjutsu, left Broly feeling somewhat displeased. Jabi just nodded and did the very simple 2-hand seals for the jutsu while having Broly stare him directly in the eyes. He attempted to use the technique but found out that it was washed away as if it was a leaf blocking the path of a river. He frowned along with Broly's smile dimming slightly. He tried the genjutsu once again, but this time altering the technique by increasing the density of his chakra before using the technique. Normally this wouldn't be something any shinobi could do. Not even a majority of shinobi even know how to strengthen their chakra without just increasing the size of how much they can hold. This is due to the gravity seals the trio got from the shopkeeper a couple of years ago. The gravity seals increase the resistance a person faces both outside their body and on the inside, affecting their chakra pathway system as well. The chakra the body produces after being strengthened due to the interference of the gravity seal gives the users more flexibility with their chakra, resilience, and strength in general. Although the size of how much chakra they hold will remain the same. The gravity seal does not increase the size of someone's chakra reserves, but it can let someone with relatively small chakra reserves continue to increase their reserves until they can no longer move further up a level with the gravity seal. This time it stuck to Broly, and Broly watched as leaves started to spin around him rapidly and close in on his figure. He stood his ground and simply watched as the leaves covered him entirely and then showed him the fear hidden deep in his heart. Jabi and Esumi just watched their master and friend not change in the slightest. He was still trapped in the genjutsu, but it appears whatever he's facing is either not scary at all or he has no fear. Esumi looked at Jabi seriously and told him to cut it off. Jabi was about to respond, but he felt Broly release the genjutsu by himself and looked towards both Esumi and Jabi. Suddenly a terrifying smile appeared on his face. For anyone that would have been in sight would have cowered and screamed in fear from the sheer horror of what that smile entailed. Ha ha ha, I fear nothing. As if I would let something like fear hide inside of me. I'm a devil, a true demon. Ha 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 ha. That green aura that always seemed to radiate off Broly when he's feeling like letting loose completely came out and surrounded him. His laugh only increased in pitch, causing both Jabi and Esumi to look towards each other, nod, and take out their equipment. Broly looked at the both of them, causing them both to tense up until the green aura disappeared from Broly and the look in his eyes went back to normal. Are you okay, Aomatsuna-sama? Jabi asks, still ready for combat at the second. I'm fine. I handled it. Broly responds. Esumi and Jabi put away their equipment and stood with Broly just in time for their sensei to show up. Wow. All three of you are here before me. Well, that means we can just get started sooner. Ko responds. I'm going to give you 3 slips of paper with instructions to follow. They are tiny little yellow slips of paper. You will read this one and then do exactly as it says, and it will tell you where to find the next one. Whoever manages to find and complete the most tasks will be able to become a genin. Ko says. You know, teach, if there aren't enough papers for all 3 of us to win, it's going to be really annoying. And I hope you are prepared for the results if there aren't. Esumi says in a light-hearted manner with slight killing intent leaking. Ko is shocked but doesn't show it on the outside. He just puts on a weak-looking smile and says, you cannot acquire any papers by force or threatening someone. If it is reported or seen that any of you 3 used force or threats to get papers, I will send you back to the academy. How boring. So I'm just supposed to talk to some loser or listen to what they want for a slip of paper? Esumi asks. Ko just nods at her. Esumi, Jabi, and Aomatsuna look at each other. I don't think it's worth the effort. I don't know if you've heard about us, sensei, but we really don't like listening to others. Jabi tries to explain gently. Ko just smiled at him, as if he was waiting to hear this all day. That's a shame, because one of the core qualities of a shinobi is the ability to listen to their superiors. And if a shinobi can't listen to their superiors, that just means they aren't fit to become shinobi. Ko says with a grin as huge as a Hyuga could possibly grin. Of course we can listen to ninjas higher rank than us. It's just that their instructions usually suck balls so far. Except Anko Nei-chan. She's the best so far. Esumi states. Jabi nods with her opinion due to Anko being able to teach him a lot about poisons during the past 4 years and treating them well. It doesn't matter if the orders are good or bad. Your job as shinobi is to follow commands by those higher than you. Ko reminds. Broly is struck with a sudden thought. Once I learn more jutsus, it's time for me to say goodbye to this village. Staying with these insects for too long will only weaken me if I have to continue to be ordered around without being able to crush bugs of my own desire. For now though, I'll just have to wait till the next Chunin exams come around. Once I become a Chunin, I will learn the rest of the techniques this village has to offer along with my slaves and then leave to fulfill my own desires. Esumi senses Aomatsuna in deep thought before seeing him nod towards her and Jabi, cueing them to accept the boring test from their sensei. Esumi sighs and Jabi just takes out a book from somewhere and begins reading while following behind Esumi and having Aomatsuna follow behind him. Esumi has the first slip and read off of it. Find the restaurant the Hokage visits often. No hints or anything. Esumi yells, we have to gather information by questioning people either close to Lord Hokage or people who watch him often. Jabi explains. So lame. I just wanna do cool ninja stuff. Esumi shouts once again. Esumi-chan, you know there is more to being a ninja than that. Of course I do. It just sucks how some parts are so boring though. It's just the manner of how you learn something rather than the something itself. Information gathering is an important part of a shinobi arsenal. I'm sure that for you Esumi, you would have much more fun doing this if you actually had to do it on a real mission. Just like how you hated flower arrangement class in the academy, but didn't mind doing it when we tried to spy on Anko for the day and she caught you when placing flowers a little too well for her liking. Jabi explains again. Esumi just sighed and the trio began their quest to find all the slips of paper as quick as possible while also disliking it as much as possible. Sometime later the trio has arrived back at Training Ground 8 to see their sensei just standing there waiting for them. Rage appeared on Esumi's face and she was about to unsheath both of her swords before Jabi grabbed her and reminded her that they could face a harsher punishment if they attack their Jonin sensei without him giving them instructions to. Esumi reluctantly let go of her swords and gave the rest of the slips to Broly and Jabi before continuing to walk towards their sensei. Students, you're back. So did you find all the papers? Ko asks with a little too much excitement. Yeah, we got M, but I had to rip one because the number was uneven for all three of us. Esumi says. It seems you three didn't remember my directions. Ko said. Didn't you say we just had to follow the directions on the paper? Esumi asks, while Jabi begins to frown as he remembers what their sensei stated. I said that whoever manages to find and complete the most tasks will able to become a genin. But none of you have more than the other. That means you all failed. Esumi is about to explode and attempt to cut her sensei into pieces. Jabi is also angered if his sensei doesn't attempt to correct his statement, while Broly is only staring at his sensei with a calm look. Ko lets the three sink in the fact that they failed to pay attention to the rules before seeing Aomatsuna rip one of his slips into two pieces. Oh, it seems Aomatsuna-kun becomes a genin. Ko suddenly says before hearing another two rip from Jabi. It appears that Jabi-kun also becomes a genin. Ko smiles before hearing multiple slice and seeing a slightly red-faced Esumi. Esumi-chan has also become a genin. Congrats you three. We are now officially Team 11. Meet me here tomorrow at 8 AM for our first training exercise and your first official genin mission. Ko says before body flickering away and leaving the obviously annoyed new genins behind. Aomatsuna-sama, did you know that was the way to pass? Jabi asks curiously. No. I was just showing Worm Sensei what I was going to do to him. Aomatsuna answers before walking off towards the direction of home. Esumi and Jabi quickly follows behind. In the council room, alright, report to me which teams passed and which have failed. Here is an orders to a group of Jonin in front of him. Team 1 has passed. Team 2 has failed. Team 3 has passed. Team 4 has failed. Team 5 has failed. Team 6 has failed. Team 7 has passed. This caused some slight stirring and murmuring among the Jonins in the room. Even creating a look from the Hokage. The Jonin of Team 7 decided to explain. They have shown the ability to pass the hidden portion of the bell test, without any hints or even knowing of it. The surrounding Jonins were surprised someone has finally passed Kakashi's test. He is known to have failed every single team that has tried his test so far. Okay, continue. Here is in commands. Team 8 has passed. Team 9 is still in circulation. Team 10 has passed. Team 11 has passed. Ko says before seeing many Jonin look at him with pity. He sighs knowing exactly what they're thinking. Poor guy has to be the sensei for those three monsters. Hope they don't eat him alive. I hope he makes it out still sane in the head after those three are gone. 18 genins have passed. This is a first in all of Konoha's history. There is a 66% failure rate for the true genin test. Usually only 9 genins pass the test. Hiruzen pulls on his pipe before continuing. So, tell me how your teams passed starting from Team 1. A do-rag wearing man with 2 downward-facing fangs on his cheeks and a goatee cleared his throat before a gruff deep voice came from it. Team 1 has shown great loyalty to each other and a fierce attitude when working with each other against an enemy. The Inuzuka member says. The Hokage just nods. Team 3 has shown great ability to work together, and an impressive show of intelligence and the ability to use their intelligence to their advantage. A rather serious-looking man with a black ponytail and dark green markings underneath his eyes making him also look tired or lazy stepped up. The Hokage nods to the Nara clan member. Team 11 has shown the ability to follow directions and see underneath the underneath. Ko says. Hiruzen smiles as he thinks about the young tailed boy succeeding as a shinobi with his friends. Alright, this meeting is concluded. You're all dismissed. Hiruzen says as a bunch of Jonin began to body flicker away. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The next part will be out soon.